After the release of Mr. Beast's $5 million game show,
I am standing on $5 million of real money.
I couldn't help but take a look at its debatable ethicality.
The largest grand prize in entertainment history.
And what I found led me to ask a question that's just so hard to answer. Are game shows just straight up unethical? People crying, friendship shattered, psychologists on standby. After watching Beast Games without really knowing anything about game shows, I felt like I entered a world of unattended ethics. But I don't want to over-exaggerate this. It's not like Beast Games is inherently cruel and inhumane and the worst thing ever. No, but I was watching Beast Games with my family, and there were a few moments that just kind of struck me the wrong way. I look over at my family, and they're just looking at the screen as if nothing just happened. So that's the whole reason for me making this video. So after watching Beast Games and a little bit of other game shows, I bring to you the 3 main aspects of questionable ethicality that I found in Beast Games. Am I being delusional, or are there some people on the internet that agree with me? Let's find out. Issue number 1 is the fact that most contestants playing the game need the money. And I know that sounds obvious, like of course they need the money or else they wouldn't be playing the game, that's the whole point. But let me help you visualize why this can lead to something unethical. Now, I know this may be a bit of an extreme visual, but when someone's in a situation where they need money for their life, for their family, then they're gonna do whatever it takes to get that money. Mr. Beast and other game show hosts essentially have the opportunity to make contestants do all sorts of things because it's almost like they're holding them at their will. Therefore, they have the responsibility to not make things too extreme. So, let's take a look at what Mr. Beast actually makes them do. Fortunately, most of these challenges seem pretty fun and harmless, you know? Throwing balls into cups, playing hide and seek, playing catch, throwing a coconut at a line. You know, it's just fun. Especially when you compare it to other game shows like Survivor, where there seemingly are a lot of medical emergencies because of the things that these contestants have to go through. Playing hide and seek is not going to do that to you. So overall, Jimmy utilizes his responsibility pretty well. He doesn't put these contestants against their will. He doesn't force them to do things that they really don't want to do. For the most part. There is one type of challenge that Jimmy frequently visited during this show that eliminated countless contestants, yet I do kind of consider it messed up, kind of unethical. And to explain what that challenge is, we're gonna have to move on to... Alright, issue number 2 is the... Get it? Because it's like I killed myself. Throughout the show of Beast Games, we can see several instances where Jimmy implements self-elimination challenges, where contestants are asked to voluntarily eliminate themselves from Beast Games. Why would they do that? Well, if not enough people eliminate themselves, then the entire group that person is with, whether 3 people or 30 people, will also be eliminated. There's a couple reasons why I think this is messed up. It's not actually voluntary. Contestants may feel a great deal of pressure being given a task like this, and they don't really want to see their teammates get kicked off the game. So therefore, even though they need the money, they may feel the pressure to eliminate themselves and save their team. There also may be instances where a contestant that doesn't self-eliminate could be seen as the bad guy because, oh, they don't need the money as much as somebody else. And that's just not fair. To expect a person who is competing for money that will downright transform the entire rest of their lives to just, you know, eliminate themselves and leave, it's just a bit too much. If they get eliminated in a challenge that requires them to use their skill and intellect and they get eliminated, well, that's just how life works, man. If me and you are trying to get a job as a chef in a restaurant and you get the job instead of me, I know that that's entirely because of my lack of skill in comparison to you. And I know that I have to go home and just keep working on my skills, keep trying and keep getting better. I lost a job because of myself and my own lack of ability. That's just how life works. And that's how these games should entirely work. When you have something like generational wealth at stake, then you have to make it completely fair for the people who are trying to get it. Because that turns it into a situation where you can't joke around, you can't have fun, you can't just eliminate people however you want. Because it's a serious situation for them. This can literally change the trajectory of their lives. And Jimmy, I understand that to you, you may not think of it like that because to you, it's insignificant, it's just your game show. But you have to really put yourself in their shoes. And comparing this to other game shows, there doesn't really seem to be many self-elimination challenges in those. There are some instances where contestants will self-eliminate, but it really seems strategic or it seems like completely voluntary instead of forced. So Jimmy, if there's a small chance you're watching this, I think you should completely stop doing self-elimination challenges in Beast games and in your videos. You gotta make it a simulation of how the real world works. Maybe a little bit of luck here and there, but mostly not. But speaking of luck, luck versus skill. I already talked about how self-elimination utilizes luck way too much. However, there is another arguably bigger issue with Beast games that has an unfair balance between luck and skill. And that is just the sheer number of contestants. Beast games broke a record with the most contestants ever in a game show. And sadly, that means that you can't really win Beast games without getting really lucky. There were just so many challenges that had massive teams involved. So really, you had to get lucky with which team you ended up with. You could do everything right, but your one teammate could mess up and get you eliminated. Jimmy, next time you want to break a world record on your show, ask yourself why those records haven't been broken. There's a reason that 1,000 contestants have never been in a game show. It's virtually impossible to eliminate them all in a fair manner. If I get eliminated on Survivor or Jeopardy, I can go to bed knowing that I lost because I messed up or I lacked a certain skill. If I'm on Beast games, then I could do everything right, but since one random kid I've never met before dropped a ball, me and 100 people are going home because, you know, they gotta get the contestant pulled down fast. But even though it's just a game, in my opinion, this still matters in regards to ethics, because these people are competing for something that will change their lives if they win it. In my honest opinion, Jimmy only wanted to have 1,000 contestants so he could break a world record and show everyone how grand and big this show is gonna be and blow everyone's minds. Because literally half of those contestants were gone within 20 minutes of episode 1. I don't consider what they did deeply unethical and inhumane, but it's still worth talking about. There are a lot of people who said that Beast Games needs to incorporate more skill challenges, even to the point that Jimmy himself said that for season 2,
you know, maybe a little more skill-based stuff. Just, yeah, you know.
So that's good. At the end of the day, Beast Games isn't inherently immoral and inhumane. Neither are other game shows. But the issues I had to bring into question today only exist because of one thing. If there was no prize money involved and contestants couldn't win any money from the show, then not a single one of the issues I mentioned would be issues. They wouldn't even matter, they wouldn't be unethical, and I wouldn't even make this video. And that is kind of scary to think.